afraid.
Ah,
Right up to that red clown nose. Last time we sat together, it was at the New York Public Library.
yes, I remember.
I was like so grateful to finally get into one of those libraries I've heard so much about. Really, I was like, this is what the big deal's about. It's pretty nifty in here, and you can borrow books. Apparently, did you know about that?
You
can borrow books. Apparently.
Yeah, you can borrow books, right?
And they have all sorts of
lots of 6 million
benefits.
of them.
And one thing, this is how smooth I am. They now offer on their website a streaming service. You can watch movies, up to 6 movies a month, if you have a public library membership.
Did
you know?
They belong to Canopy.
Canopy, that's right.
Yeah.
I was talking to your office a few months back, probably more than a few now, but right around the time that a lot of your library passed a slate of films was being premiering on Canopy, about you were coming on and just talking about that. But you were in Indiana probably shooting this film, and that never happened. So I wanted to make sure that we touched on Canopy. I mean, are you articulate on the subject of Canopy in the sense of
well, no,
deal?
They just started showing the films about 6 months ago.
Yeah,
and they're doing a good job, and I think it's great. I mean, because my films weren't available on VOD before, and now they are, and it's working out very well.
I mean, where could you have seen, other than if you are going to a screening, I guess you could also request a screening at your local, if you want to be at a bricks and mortar screening. If you want to be at a physical screening, you could go to your local library or school, or I suppose in request they do a screening. If they have you can buy the DVD off the Zipporah Films website as well. Consumer copies?
Yeah, consumer copies.
Is there a different?
The price for institutions is
much higher.
It's much more expensive. Consumer copies than normal DVD prices, around $25, $30.
But the average listener, somebody who's curious about your films or maybe you saw Monrovia, Indiana, as will happen and will enjoy it most likely, then they'll want to maybe go back and see some of the other films. To get even a broader context of what you're accomplishing over a decade.
Well,
over
they
a
can
decade.
do that either if their public library
they
subscribes to Canopy. They can get the right to watch them for free with their library card.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Or if they want a DVD, they can get it from Zipporah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense in terms of what you're doing anyway, and the fact that you made the movie about the library. I'm thinking maybe it's just a coincidence that you made a movie about the library last time. I know I'm going back now to our last sit-down where we talked about the library. And then Canopy just so happens to be screening or streaming a good, I don't know how many of the films, but quite a number.
All
of them. The
whole thing.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Finally. I mean, I've seen a lot of your films, but I haven't seen probably half of them. So now I can.
Yeah, that's great.
Kanopy. All you need is a membership to the public library.
Right. And the public library has to subscribe to Canopy.
Oh, okay. So it's dual.
Not all public libraries subscribe, although they should, but many of them do.
Very good. But I wonder if you're now I'm wasting our time probably, but I'm wondering if I'm not a resident of New York, if I can still join the New York Public Library, get a card because they have it. They have a subscription to Canopy.
I don't know what.
I'm not. I don't mean to put you. I'm just wondering aloud. Anyhow, does Monrovia, Indiana, have a librry?
Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
There's a shot of the exterior of it in the film.
Yeah, no doubt.
I shot a sequence in the library, but didn't use it.
Because as we know, and as the film shows you, it doesn't really say this as in actual words, of course, but there's a shrinking population in the farming communities and in rural America in general. People have been gravitating towards the urban centers for now decades. That's where the money's at. That's where the work is at. Opportunities, right? They're shrinking in rural America. And you're just showing this town, right? There's like 1,000+ people in this town. There probably were many more only a couple of generations ago.
Yeah, I don't know how the population. I don't know whether the population is stable or is shrunken.
Yeah. But so that was the idea, though, right behind Monrovia, Indiana, right? It was
Yeah.
just
The idea was to do a small town in the Middle West because I hadn't worked much in the Middle West. The only film I made in the Middle West was in Chicago, and that's hardly a small town.
Right. In fact, Chicago has probably benefited from the city itself, and the city environs have probably benefited from, again, the rural communities around that part of Illinois, which have moved towards where the
and the city has grown out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Expanse. This is like a very short work for you, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, not all my films
Jackson
are
Heights.
Yeah, I mean, the first 5 films I made were all under 90 minutes.
Sure.
I mean, it's not any conscious decision to make a short or a long film. The film comes out the way it comes out.
The way it's supposed to. Right. But a lot of people would make a lot longer films, and they just sort of bring themselves in because of other pressures, whether it be broadcast.
Well, I don't.
You don't do it.
I have a nice arrangement with PBS. PBS takes the film the way I give it to them.
Yeah.
And they broadcast it in prime time. So
it's almost like what is it called in Hollywood when a director gets
final cut.
Final cut.
Yeah. No, I have final cut.
Yeah,
nobody sees the film till it's finished.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is this you working at your most leanest, this particular production, or is it's been this way for a while, where you're kind of doing everything? You have one other person with you, right?
During the shoot, there are 2 other
camera.
people. I direct and do the sound. I work with a terrific cameraman, and there's an assistant who carries the equipment.
Okay, that's it.
It's always been that way.
It has.
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you staying during this?
In a motel about 15 minutes from Monrovia.
Uh-huh.
There were no motels in Monrovia. So, it was about a 15-minute ride. It was sort of about 7 or 8 minutes from the Indianapolis airport.
What's a typical day like on that shoot? How long was the shoot, the actual
about
production?
10 weeks.
10 weeks? Wow.
And shot about 120 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So the shooting ratio was almost 60 to 1. Film shot to film used.
Mm-hmm.
And it was started in, I think, around the 6th of May, and it went to well into July, 2017.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and at this point, did anybody know who you were? Anybody know who you were? Before you, I know there were conversations.
The person who sort of introduced me around Monrovia had seen some of my movies, and I gave her some movies to see.
Oh, good.
And as soon as I met her, she looked me up on the internet.
She what?
She looked up.
Of course.
Yeah, the internet, which is what people do these days.
That's right. They Googled you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They Googled you, much like if you were on a dating app or something.
Yeah, right. I'm tired. I forgot the Google expression.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. It's the Kleenex of technology, right? Well, Googling.
When it's useful, you like it, and when it's it's harmful, you don't like it.
Well, certainly, but I'm just saying that using the term Google has become sort of the version, Google, like using the Kleenex as a generic term in the sense of. Is there a difference? Of course, there is. I guess I'm playing devil's advocate, but when you're shooting people in the board meeting at the public library, or at a town meeting in Jackson Heights to Monrovia, Indiana, at a town hall meeting.
The job is the same.
It's nothing
to shoot the meeting, and you shoot all the meeting, and then you figure out whether or not you want to use it, and if so, what parts you want to use, and how you want to use them in the editing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean there's no difference in the shooting link to who the participants are.
Right. So in a sense, what I'm getting is from all of these films, even films where you were in the dressing rooms at some Paris, what would you call it?
Nightclub.
Nightclub is a good word for it. Let's use that.
Or
you
want to say strip joint?
No,
it's not.
I was trying to avoid that. No, it's not. It's a different approach to entertaining.
Yeah.
And performing. But it's all this. It's all one experience in a sense. It's all one.
Well, the approach is the same. I mean, you're there to make a movie, and you get get what's going on as best you can.
I guess what I'm saying is that there is a strong sense of commonality. I guess I was just trying to make a universal feeling that you get from watching all these different films, your films, from all the different groups, whether you're in France, whether you're in here in some rural town.
The idea is to, get it's totally subjective, but to be able to give a sense of what is going on in the particular event being shot and recorded. Yeah. But it's what you see in the film is the illusion because it's all edited down. The meetings in Ex Libris, for example, or the town council meetings in Monrovia went on for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And what you see is 7 or 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. And that 7 or 8 minutes is edited from all over the lot to appear as if it took place the way you're watching it, but that's an illusion.
But if
it works, it works because you've edited it properly. But it didn't take place the way you're seeing it because it's 20 seconds here and 30 seconds there, a minute and a half there. Edited to appear as if it took place the way you're seeing it, although it didn't.
But there's a pact you're also making with the audience member, which is like, I know that this is clearly, there's no board meeting that's 7 minutes long. So
yeah, well, you assume people understand that, but nevertheless, you want them to be absorbed in the experience of watching it, even though they recognize that it didn't take place the way they're watching it.
Right. Do you have time now with the schedule that you create for yourself? And I know you do more than even making documentaries, that you're often working on other types of projects as well. Do you have time to get to the movies? Do you watch other documentaries?
I don't go to the movies very much at all.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the theater and I watch ballet a lot, but I don't get to the movies very much. I'm sitting in front of a screen all day editing. I don't have much interest in going to the movies at night.
Yeah. So do you have any? You don't have the curiosity to see what?
Well, I have some curiosity. I see a few movies, but
yeah. And you see, but they are assuming. I'm kind of curious as what your life is like in that way. As somebody who has spent 60 plus years, 60, 65. I don't know how many years now.
50 years making movies.
50. Okay, yeah. Right, because you did other things
50.
before.
I started late.
Catching up. Yeah,
right.
I'm just wondering, but they send you. You get obviously sent films too, right, for the year.
Yeah, so I get sent a lot of movies, but I don't watch them.
You don't get to see them. Yeah, there's not a lot of. You're not feeling particularly motivated to see a lot of.
No, because I like to read still, and I don't have that much. I don't have that much time. I work a lot,
and you have relationships, I assume.
Yeah.
With a few people, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And but you must get asked to do Q&As with other filmmakers or participate in panels.
Yeah.
Then
one of the ways I make a living is appearing in schools and colleges and showing the movies or giving a class or something. You can make more money talking about movies than making them, but you got to make them in order to talk about them.
Can you tell me how to do that? Can you give me some pointers? Because I don't know that I'm succeeding myself. Again, I always kind of come around to this question about the residents or the participants of one of your projects. But did you get to follow up and do a private screening or a screening rather for the residents?
Yeah, I did. At the end of August, I showed it 3 times in one night at a multiplex in a city nearby, and about 600 people came to see it.
600. Yeah, that's great. And what was did you?
Well,
do?
And then you
talked to them afterwards.
Seemed to like it.
Yeah. What's not to like?
Well,
was it? Did anybody feel like there was something embedded that was kind of critical?
No. The people they seemed to like it.
Did they think about the context of, let's say, Trump's America and where we're at with living in a town like that?
Interestingly enough, I didn't hear any political talk while I was there. None. Whether when we were shooting or not shooting.
Yeah.
No political talk.
None.
No. Which was, I was surprised at that.
Mm-hmm. Because you get nothing but that when you're showing it in a city like New York, right? everybody's trying to contextualize it politically.
Well, yeah, it'd be interesting. I haven't shown it in New York. I mean, I showed it at the New York Film Festival, but it opens tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And we'll see what people say.
Yeah. Well, Kent Jones, he's the one that talked to you, right? Kent Jones, did he interview you? After the New York Film?
Kent introduced the film and interviewed me at New York.
At the New York Film Festival, and I'm sure he put it in a political context. That's his.
To some extent, yeah.
I don't see it. I mean, you can't. It sort of just is a window, but I don't look at it as a political. There's some sort of subtext there. I don't see it.
Well, I
which
leave
is
it
great.
to the viewer to decide.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't make any statement about that.
Yeah, I'm no expert. I'm just looking at it like myself as a fan and as a typical audience member. I think there's never enough time in these conversations. That's how in demand you are. That I
have a press representative who set up a lot of interviews.
She's very good, Emma Griffiths.
Right? Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah. Well, let's just say this is my second time. I was here yesterday with this other film, which is playing across the lobby from your film, called Life and Nothing More, which I'm going to suggest you try to see, even though you won't. But it's a beautiful gem of a film. It's really it's a nod to neorealism.
What's it called?
Life and Nothing More,
made
by this Basque filmmaker, Basque filmmaker named Antonio Mendez.
Well, I'll have to see it.
I'm going to butcher the last name. Yeah, it's a beautiful film, and I was here yesterday, so I feel like this episode will be a film forum oriented episode. Monrovia, Indiana. How many is this now? Feature documentaries?
I think it's around the 42nd documentary.
42nd,
44th
low
or
40th.
5th film.
Okay,
yeah.
Somewhere in there. Is playing at the Film Forum starting October 26th, Friday, October 26th.
Yeah, it starts October 26th.
And it's like the typical theatrical run now seems to be a month long. So
well, I hope I hope it runs even more than that.
Me too.
See.
That would be beautiful. That'd be great. It should, and it deserves to. So, I guess that's everything.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for doing the interview again.
Oh yeah, every time if I can. I love it. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.